Hi folks, Slick Slices here. Now, many moons ago, Al at UK Legal Carry Knives bought this Tops Tac-Raze, and he sent it in the pass round group. And one of the beautiful things about the pass round group is that people send you knives that you might not like, that they might not like, but you get to experience things that you wouldn't shell out 120 quid for, only because it just doesn't look like it's something you're going to like. But this arrived, and I thought, what a ridiculous looking thing. I mean, really, it's you really need to keep it in this little sheath. That's the first thing. You do need to keep it in that sheath. That's because it just opens with almost no resistance. Then add to that, you've got this great big tang on the end, so if you've got it in your pocket, it catches on everything. Then you open it, you've got a sort of American tanto shape, sort of, but it's not even that. You know, it's nowhere near. You've got this recurved blade, and then you've got this curved sort of tanto tip. So, you know, they always say tantos are good for scraping tasks, but this doesn't have a flat scraping blade. It's got some belly in the tanto. And then the rest of it is a recurve, which, you know, should make it really hard to sharpen, and of relatively limited utility, or at least, you know, all of this is what you think. It's G10, by the way. The blade is 1095 steel, which is you know, great. It's resilient and it's easy to sharpen, all of that usual stuff. But you know, 1095 rusts, which for an EDC just always seems just a bit silly. But, and this is the thing, this knife has turned out to be a real hit. Not only with me, I mean, I really liked it, so Al disliked it so much that when I told him that I liked it, he said, well, just keep it. And I did. I did send him something sort of to make up for it, something I hated and he loved, so there we are, in return. But part of that just shows it takes all sorts in this world, and just because, you know, you don't like something, somebody else might love it, and just because they hate it, you might love it. So anyway, this has become a real favourite in my house. It's opened more packages than probably all of my other 300 knives put together, because it lives on, there's a sort of desk tidy thing on the kitchen work surface. This lives in its sheath, and it stands upright in the desk tidy, so that it's the easiest one to grab, for one thing, and secondly, it's the easiest one to open and close. So my wife loves it, because sometimes she picks up my knives and she can't work out how to open and close them, and then she gets a bit feared that she's gonna cut herself, as this is just dead easy. You just open it, and once it's open, you've got that ridiculously long extended tang that catches on everything in your pocket. Also keeps the knife very open. There's no danger. It's called the Tac-Raze, and in some ways it is a bit like a razor, in that, you know, if you're using a cutthroat razor, you hold the blade, you usually let the handle go all the way around. It doesn't go all the way around in this because it's got a stop pin, but it's the blade that you control, and the handle is just a cover for the blade. In a way, this is sort of similar, because you can either hold it in a pinch grip, or you've got the forward child position, which is probably the most common way to hold it. But even if you do want to hold it all the way back, and it's got a very big handle, you can do so, and without any fear it's going to close, because you've got that extra long tang. So I tend to hold it like this and use it, and it's used, as I say, to open everything and anything. it would be good for things like sharpening pencils and stuff. That recurved blade is actually quite good for that sort of thing. It certainly is also good for cutting paracord, partly because you can use that, but also if you're making a lanyard or something and you want to trim off the ends, bring that down a bit, that Tanto blade makes a really good slicer that makes a very neat job to the end of cutting lanyards off. Where this knife has a bit of a problem is it's certainly marketed as being UK legal, and to some extent it probably is, but there are some issues. And if you take the full blade length, and this is commonly becoming, and I know there will be somebody will jump on this and say the legislation is perfectly clear, it's the blade, it's the cutting edge that counts, and we will come to that. But take the whole blade length on this and you're over the 3-inch mark. Now there was a bit of legislation case law recently that ruled that the semantics over cutting edge versus blade length were ridiculous, and blade length was the only thing that matters, and that's what the judge ruled. The only problem was that was a case involving a screwdriver, and in a screwdriver it probably had a really good point, because the cutting edge, if you like, or the potentially sharpened edge of a screwdriver is just the very tip. So you could have a 6-inch blade on a screwdriver, but the cutting edge could be measured at a matter of 2 or 3 millimeters, and that actually, it becomes quite a lethal weapon. However, there's also another bit of case law that came up recently that issued that argued that a screwdriver wasn't a bladed article, for the reasons really that we just discussed just now. So it's not very clear, and I don't want to be the one that sets the case law, because I don't want to put my liberty and my money at risk by going to court to argue over a couple of millimeters on the length of a blade. Now, but the other problem with this is, even if you take the cutting edge is effectively from there to the corner, which is 2 1/4 inches, give or take, plus that there, which takes us over to again 3 and say about 1/8 of an inch of cutting edge if you measure along the edge. And that's where the problem comes when you've got a blade that's is shaped like this. If it was a kind of a reverse Tanto or a sheep foot or whatever, and the blade only came to the corner point, you'd be fine. But because you've got this extension here, I think there are sufficient questions over this knife to make you wonder whether you would want to carry it in the street. But as I say, it has turned into a real favourite. The only real downside to this one that I've found over the years that I've had it is that this shaped G10 picks up all sorts of rubbish into the grooves and just in the texture of it. Now, this here is off the inside of this. About a week ago, I put this knife in a subsonic cleaner and it cleaned it completely, and it came out beautiful, black and shiny. Then I stuck it back in the sheath, and almost immediately it came out looking like that. It looks like something spilt in it. It's really just fine dust, I think, mostly. Anyway, why am I showing you this again? Because I showed you this before when I got it. Well, the answer is because I got another one. Oops, get them in the screen. It's disturbing that the camera on an iPhone is right up in one side of it, and so it looks like when I put these down here, it looks like the camera wouldn't be able to see them at all, but they're now, I think, pretty much centered. Anyway, so the difference is the original one that I had came in this tan leather with a black G10 handle, and this new one has come in a dark tan or dark brown scabbard, which actually I think looks much better. It's exactly the same. It's a little bit tighter than the other one, but then this one isn't as old. You've got this the straps on the back, so you can put a belt through it that way, or you can put the belt through behind the straps through this way and carry it scout style, although that's all very well when the scabbard's nice and tight and new like this one, but I think this one, the older one, don't know if I can do this under camera because there might not be enough room, but if you give it a good shake it just falls out. There isn't room between the camera and the table, not without risking smashing it, but it does come out quite easily. So this new one, this was somebody on Instagram was I think it's called UK Knife Sales or something, but I think it's just a private individual. I don't think it's a company, but he was selling this one, and I just thought I've got to have it because these are really quite difficult to get hold of. They've been out of stock in Heine Haynes sort of pretty much for the last 3 years. They when they do get some in, they disappear very, very quickly. There is another blade version with a straight blade, and I'd quite like one of those, and I keep looking out for it if it comes up. Again, that comes with the this green micart handle. It goes quite white after a while, but I oiled it the other day just with a bit of mineral oil, just because I quite like the colour of it like that. Again, when this one came in, it was a bit gunky, so I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, just with a tiny little bit of soap and water, and it came out looking beautiful. The action on this new one is much stiffer. I could probably do something about that just by adjusting the screws, but I think I'm just going to watch and wait and see how it comes out. The main thing is that this micart is just much nicer, and without all the grooves in it, it doesn't pick up half as much gunk, and it's much easier to clean. You can just brush it off. Blade is exactly the same. It does feel like it's a little bit wider. Even the sort of flat here at the top looks slightly wider. I put it down to the fact that I've sharpened this quite a few times. It's got a very nice, very sharp mirror edge on it. Maybe it's not as mirrory as it once was, but it used to be extremely mirror. But I've used it quite a bit. As I say, it's quite possibly the most used knife in my... just move it about, you can get some idea of the shine that there is on it. By the way, that's the X-1269, and this is the Z-1893. So it's quite a big difference in numbers for a knife that's pretty much the same. The edge on this one is just the factory edge plus a bit of a strop, so it's got a bit shinier than it was when it came in, but only through stropping. I've got this strop regime which uses a 4 micron, 2 micron, 1 micron and a 1/4 micron diamond pastes in sequence. Anyway, it's just as nice as the other one. It's got the jimping on the back. That action being a bit stiffer, I don't know, it's probably nicer in use. It just feels that bit more solid. But because of the way you hold it and with the protection of the extended tang and the finger choil, it doesn't really make that much difference. But what I really like about this one, well, two things actually. One is the green micarta, which I just like green micarta. It all started with the Benchmade Proper, which was the first sort of micarta knife that I had, and it's this same sort of green micarta. Of course, the new Tac-Raze there probably has a stiffer action than the back spring version of the Proper, but there we are. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to show you really. Really just to show you this, my new Tac-Raze Z-1893 or Z-1893 if you're American, and it's nice little dark brown sheath from Tops. Incidentally, I didn't show you the box for this because it doesn't come in a box, it comes in a plastic bag. It does come with a little bottle of HP 100 knife oil, which is supposed to be non-toxic. I personally prefer using mineral oil because it's not only non-toxic, it's odorless and tasteless as well, which is all very good. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. If you like this stuff, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see some more of it, and there should be some more coming, then remember to subscribe and remember to ring the bell. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye, folks.